Mike?
Now we're live.
Are you sure? We're live?
I'm positive.
Hi! So hello everybody and welcome to the 4 Pillars of Voiceover Success. And you see me, but I can't see you. So don't worry. It's going to be okay. But we've got a great program planned for you this afternoon. I'm so happy you're here. We've got a good number of people on the line right now. And I love this webcam technology. This is a Google Hangout if you've never done one before. So what I'm going to do is I've got some great material that I want to share with you today about the 4 pillars of voiceover success. And I also want to take your questions live. And the way that we're going to do that is you're going to call in and give your questions to Zach or Mark, who will answer the phone when you call. And they'll come on in my office and give me the questions, and I'll answer them live on the air for you right now. So welcome. Let's get settled. I think we're going to go for about 90 minutes, maybe somewhere between an hour and 90 minutes today. I do have some urgent recording that I have to do that came in, so I'm going to have to end a little bit early, but I promise you, you're going to get great value out of today's program. And let's get started. So if you are new to Great Voice and you don't know me, I'm the voice that says, thank you for using AT&T and welcome to City Phone Banking. So I am the telephone voice of Citibank. And if you call, you're going to hear me. I'm giving you your bank balance. I am giving you your mortgage information. I am the branded voice of the bank. And I do voiceover full time. I've done it for 27 years. I do commercials. I do narrations, the wide range of stuff. The only thing I don't do is audiobooks, and that's a deliberate choice. And I'll tell you about that in a little while when we talk about the niche markets. And I don't do animation. I haven't done video games, but there's plenty of work in the non-broadcast and the broadcast niches and the telephony niche where I specialize. So the Great Voice Company has been around now for 27 years, if you can imagine. We are a full-service production company and training company, and we help people like yourself start and thrive in successful voiceover careers. And we work with people actually from all over the world, and certainly all over the United States, because our training is virtual. And then 4 times a year, we also put on boot camps in New York City and other live events, which makes it really, really easy for you to participate and get training from us. But today we're going to talk about you and why you're here. I want to answer all your questions. Right here on the screen, you should see a telephone number. It's 800-333-8108. 800-333-8108. And anytime during this broadcast, if you have a question, please feel free to call, and Zach or Mark will pass that question on to me, and I will answer live. So you're in the right place if you are looking for an ideal work from home money hobby. If you want to make some additional money and you want an opportunity with a really low cost to get started, something that's fun to do, something that's flexible, and something where you can work from home or anywhere in the world. I frequently go to Brazil, usually twice a year, and I take my whole voiceover business with me. I've got the crew back here in New Jersey at the studio, but I'll record from anywhere that I am in the world. I like to travel. I bring my portable microphone, my laptop, and I send my audio back to the studio or directly to my customers. So these days, if you have a microphone, you have a laptop, you have an internet connection, you really do have the flexibility to work from anywhere. I know I've got a friend in the business, Justin Hibbard, who loves to travel, and he told me he did voiceover from a hut in Borneo. Can you believe that? Can you believe they even have internet access in a hut in Borneo? He went there to see the pygmy elephants. I didn't even know there was such a thing, but he saw them. And while he was there, he kept up with all his voiceover clients, all his auditions from that hut with internet access. So maybe you don't want to travel that far. Maybe for you, the idea of a long trip is down to your basement or your summer home or whatever that would be. But that's one of the great things about this business. So if you're in the right place, if you are looking for all of that, you're also in the right place if you're aching to be recognized. If you feel like you've been working and people just don't recognize the hard work that you're doing, maybe you feel like you're a small cog in a huge wheel and you just haven't made your mark in life. And that kind of stinks, doesn't it? Maybe you're trying to cram your whole life into your lunch hour or your weekend, and you just are feeling there's more to life than this. And I want it. You know, I've had it. I'm tired of working 9 to 5 in a way where I'm just, you know, throwing my life away, really, working for somebody else. You're definitely in the right place if you want to be your own boss. You know, you're tired of looking busy, you're tired of office politics, all those things you don't have in a great work from home voiceover business or money hobby. You're in the right place if you want or you need to take it easier. I'm thinking about one of our students. Her name is Pam. Captain Pam is her voiceover name. And she is an airline pilot, commercial airline pilot, but had some problems where she needed to take pain medication. And of course, you can't fly if you're on pain medication. So she was effectively grounded and started voiceover, and she's really doing well. She's doing lots of commercials and non-broadcast work. So you're in the right place if you're looking for an opportunity where you can take it easy and you can work from home and there isn't a lot of physical labor other than talking or, you know, editing your audio. You're in the right place if you need time flexibility. Maybe you're caring for your kids or for an elderly parent. A lot of you know my mother just passed on, and I wrote about it in my e-zine. And by the way, thank you very much. I was just overwhelmed with really beautiful notes from you, sharing your own experiences and condolences. So I really, really appreciate that. But one thing I love about the flexibility of this is I was able to take a lot of time off to be with my mother during the final year of her life, you know, go down to Florida where she was living when she came back to New York to really spend that quality time with her. And, you know, that is precious and that's priceless. So you're definitely in the right place if you need an opportunity to care for the loved ones in your life. Maybe you're about to retire. Now, a lot of the people that we work with tell us that they're about 3 to 5 years out from retirement. I call that being on the runway to retirement, and they're preparing. They're making sure that all of their ducks are in the row, and they're looking for a great money hobby or part-time opportunity so they can stay busy in retirement and keep a little bit of extra income flowing in as well. So you're definitely in the right place if that's something that resonates with you. You're in the right place if you're looking for an opportunity with no employees or inventory. And you know, you can turn this into a real business like I have, where I have a production company. I have employees that I love. They're great people. But maybe you just want to be a solopreneur. You don't want to have to worry about all of that. There certainly is no inventory in voiceover, and it's a unique opportunity in that sense. And you're in the right place if you're looking for something that you'll love and that your clients will love too. This is so much fun to do. It really, really is. And I can't believe it every workday that I get paid for doing what I do. I mean, I had an audition today. So funny, for a toilet paper commercial. And I don't want to give the specifics of the script, but it was hysterically funny. I mean, it's so much fun to do this work. You know, and you probably have gotten comments about your voice. So I know that a number of our students, people who are already in our programs, are out there. And it's funny because when we do our boot camp, you know, every single person who goes into the studios where we record, where we have our boot camp weekends, the people who work in those studios always comment on the great voices of everyone in our crew. So you're in the right place if people have always commented on your voice. Maybe your voice is unusual, but there's something about it that's unique. There's something about it that's memorable. And I know why you're here, because people have probably told you that your entire life, right? And now's the time to explore it and do something about it. You're in the right place if maybe you've had some creative fun in community theater. Maybe you've done some radio. Maybe you've been trained as an actor and then left it behind, or maybe you're in music. Actually, you love working with your voice and you really are missing that creative piece of self-expression. Voiceover certainly gives you that space and that opportunity. You're in the right place if you're looking to put your whole foot into the pool. So a lot of people tell us that they've been toe dippers, they've been dabblers, and now they're really looking to immerse themselves in this, and that's why they like the comprehensive programs that we offer, because they know there's a lot of moving parts actually to starting a voiceover career, and they know that we can help them out with that from start to finish. And maybe you have gear in your house that you've invested in. Maybe you've got some microphones and some equipment that you spent money on. It's gathering dust, you never did anything with it. Maybe you have a demo you actually recorded but you never sent out. That's very common. Don't worry if that's you. No judgment, but it does happen. A lot of people tell me that that's the case. And maybe you haven't implemented. So you need coaches and you need support to help you implement the training and the demo that you've produced. So I want to know why you want to get into voiceover, why it's special for you, and I'm going to invite you right now to give us a call and let us know, and I'll give a shout out to some of you on the air right now. You call us at 800-333-8108. The number should be right here on the screen. It's 800-333-8108. Speak to Zach or Mark. Let us know why you want to get started in voiceover. And I'm going to take a little sip of water here. And we're going to talk about what determines voiceover success, because it's not what you think. So you might be thinking, well, you really need to have a special kind of voice to do this. A great voice, and whatever that might mean for you. And so a common question that we get is, do I actually have the right kind of voice for this? And if you've been listening to television and radio, and I encourage you to do so, you'll notice there's been a big change in types of voices that are getting paid to do professional voiceover work. So it used to be you had to sound like Richard Burton or God, right? Never goddess to do this. And now if you listen to television and radio, you'll hear all types of voices. And in fact, the trend in voiceover is for real sounding people. People of all races, all ages, and it never used to be that way. It's a big change. A lot more opportunity for women too. It's almost equal. It used to be that women got only a tiny percentage of the work, and that has really changed in recent years. So voiceover is not America's top voice model. It is not a competition to see who has the best voice. It's really about, can you take somebody else's words and make those words sound believable, so that the listener never for 1 second thinks that you are an announcer or they're being sold something, but that you're a friend. And actually, they shouldn't even be noticing you at all, believe it or not. Our job in doing voiceover is to disappear. And it can even be a liability if your voice is too good, because they might be paying more attention to the sound than they are to the message. So we're in the business of actually painting pictures with our voice, creating little movies in the mind of the listener. And doing that well means that this is more of an acting skill than it is of an announcing skill at all. And they never want announcers. All the scripts always say we want something conversational and real sounding. So that is why good training is so important, because a good voice alone it's a great tool, it's a great asset, but it's not enough. You really do need to know how to use it, how to maximize it, how to make the most of the gift that you've been given. So there's some key things that I want to share with you, and they are the things that you're going to need to be successful in voiceover. All right, so you got a pen, you can actually take a note here. The first thing is you need a step-by-step plan to follow. You need a roadmap, you need a blueprint. Otherwise, you're going to get lost in the details and you're never going to implement. We've just seen it happen too many times with people that have come to us to fix that problem. They've taken a course over here, a little training there, they read a book here, and they just can't seem to put the whole picture together and get the results that they want. So I feel, and I found, that a blueprint or a plan is extremely important to voiceover success. The next thing that you're going to need is some very easy, enjoyable performance skills. So don't get freaked out if you've never studied acting before. I never did. I came from a radio background. In fact, I used to work with Howard Stern. I did, all kinds of radio. But I had to unlearn a lot of those skills and learn to have more of a performance mindset. And before we're over today, I will talk about that, because that's one of success. It's performance. And I have a unique method that we teach, and I'll get to that in a little bit. You're also going to need to know your way around your home studio. And so for some people, you've got it down. It's not an issue for you. But for others, you can get a little bit freaked out by the gear and the recording and the skills you need to learn around that. And not to worry. If I can do it, you can do it. It's really, if you can cut and paste a file in Word, you can absolutely record your voice from home. It is not that complicated. And of course, we can provide you with guidance with that. And if you need help with that, call us, because that's what I'm here for today. It's 800-333-8108, and that's what we offer you. You need a caring coach. So I don't care what you're trying to do in life, whether you are in sports, whether you are an actor in for theater, even if you're in business at a high level. A big secret that a lot of people don't know is that most successful people have coaches and mentors. I mean, certainly in sports, you guys know that, right? I mean, it can be very specific. There are swing coaches in golf. There are batting coaches. It's very specific. And of course, the best voice talent have voiceover coaches. And the reason that you need somebody is that because of something called vocal disparity. You see, we listen to our voices from inside our head, where the sound of your voice when you listen to yourself is actually distorted by the bones of your skull. So it's not until you listen to your recorded voice that you actually hear yourself as other people hear you. And that's why initially, when you first hear your recorded voice, it sounds so strange. It's just because you're hearing it differently. And the way that you hear your voice when it's recorded is actually the way you sound to other people. So a good coach will help you work with the voice on the recorded voice and help you get used to working with your sound and appreciate the sound that you've been given and enhance it and shape it so it becomes much more marketable. You also need some good marketing skills. Now, this was a huge game changer for me. I often talk about my epiphany, where I was, like many, many voice talent out there, just trying to audition a little bit better than somebody else. And it wasn't until I really got serious about marketing, and this was these were skills I could learn from a seminar and from a coach. I was able to really grow my business in a very dynamic and dramatic way. So marketing is something very important to voiceover. Again, this freaks a lot of people out. They'd rather get root canal than market or sell themselves. And sometimes people moan and they go, well, can't I just perform? Or can't I get an agent or a manager to do it all for me? Well, really not, because those agents and managers are also representing 20, 50, 80 other people. Nobody is going to do this like you will. In fact, just last night I was with a friend of mine. She's a very successful jazz singer in City, at Lincoln Center and all kinds of places. And she gets on the phone just like us as voice talent, and she is calling people who can book her to perform. And that's how she got into Lincoln Center, by being persistent and calling weekly the guy who books the gigs. So, you absolutely need to know how to do this and learn to love it. And we can help you do that. I have a whole system for that. I really have put a lot of time and energy into the marketing training that we offer. And you also need the right mindset. So let's talk a little bit about that, because, when I started out, I knew nothing, very little about this mindset piece, but I had a mentor. His name is Dr. Kepi, and I've written about him, and a lot of my students know about him and about his work and have found it helpful. But one of the things that I learned was that what we don't know about ourselves is what sinks us and what holds us back. So consciously, we might think that we want our own success. but unconsciously of almost like a counterforce that is saying no to the goodness and the success that we desire and deserve. So it's not until you learn to work with and recognize your own acts of self-sabotage that you can really go forward in life, and especially in your voiceover career. We'll be talking about that a little bit later when I get into the mindset piece of the 4 pillars. And the other talent that you need is persistence. And you need to work hard, because like anything else, there's no magic pill, no tooth fairy and no magic pill in voiceover. So you need to work hard, but you're working for yourself, and it isn't unpleasant physical labor, but it's not going to come by magic, and it's not going to happen overnight. So I've got some questions here, and they're coming in. Thank you, Mark. And I want to invite you to call us with your questions. It's 800-333-8108. So Ellie J wrote in, could your advice be applied to video game voice act? Of course. So there's 14 niche markets. We're going to talk about those in just a minute. It applies to any of the niches that you want to work in. Now, video games is huge, you guys. I don't even know how many billions of dollars. I think it's like 8 billion. Could that be right? It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And a tremendous amount of fun, growing so quickly. So everything I'm teaching absolutely can apply to video game voice acting. Here's Joan. Now, Joan is listening. She's in Canada. She said, I asked why we wanted to get into voiceover. So Joan says, my love of voice started because I was listening to radio plays, but now I'm very interested in audiobooks as my husband has MS and can't hold a book any longer. And he found audiobooks and it saved his life. Oh man, that is so beautiful, Joan. Thank you so much for sharing that. So you don't realize how much sunshine you can bring into people's lives. I mean, imagine how many people depend on audiobooks to brighten up their day, whether they're bedridden or just in the car in that long commute going to work. Storytelling is huge. I have found myself dropping everything to listen to a story on the radio. There's a show called Selective Shorts on public radio that I love. And of course, those wonderful, wonderful audiobooks. So yeah, Joan, thank you very much for sharing that with me. So she's got a very noble reason why she wants to get into audiobooks. We got another one from Michael Craig, who called in and says he wants to be a talent because he used to be an actor. He does sales, but he's not passionate about it. I'm sorry, Michael, but he is passionate about using his voice. So you came to the right place. Got a lady also from Anaheim named Cinnamon Stanlow, who says she just called up and said she's about to retire. She enjoyed theater in high school, and she wants to do voiceover when she retires. So Cinnamon, you are not alone. Most of the people that take our training are like that. She's intimidated by the technology. I understand. Don't worry. We have helped grandmas learn how to do this. And she's committed, but she knows she needs help. So Cinnamon, that's why we're here. Thank you so much for writing in. And I want to hear from you. Give us a call at 800-333-8108. Tell us why you want to get into voiceover. And of course, Mark or Zach can get your questions. So a lot of people have done Toastmasters. A lot of people have, enjoyed teaching or using their voice in some way, like these nice people that just called in. So here's the agenda for what we're going to talk about today. I need to take another sip of water. I'm doing a lot of talking. We're going to talk about the hidden world of voiceovers and the opportunities that are, I guess, call it like hidden in plain sight, and the 14 niche markets and the opportunities there, the 4 pillars to voiceover success, and of course, answers to your questions. Plus, I'm going to share a great resource for people who want to get started. Let's talk a little bit about voiceovers then and now. So back in the day, as I said, you had to sound like Richard Burton or God. And my point here is that your timing is excellent if you want to do this now. There used to be just like 2 or 3 niche markets, commercials and narrations, and perhaps 1 or 2 others, but that's basically what it was. You had to live in New York or Los Angeles. You had to live near a recording studio because it was so expensive to have a home studio. It cost like $100,000 or more to install the equipment. It's amazing. Back You remember the day of the reel-to-reel tape and all of that. And so only a handful of actors were doing this. They worked through agents. They were in those major markets, New York, LA, maybe Chicago, spending their day going around, going to auditions. Very few women in the business. Your demos were on reel-to-reel tape that were difficult to mail. Your scripts were delivered by a messenger or a fax machine, and there were no websites. That wasn't that long ago. Now, there is a literal explosion of opportunity in voiceover. My goodness, there are apps. Just last week, there was an article in the New York Times about all of it's called the Internet of Things. So things are talking to us more than ever. Everything's talking to us. And we all know now about the GPS in the car, of course. But the toys talk to us. I did a voiceover recently for a key finder thing. So you would, I guess you clap your hands and it would tell you where your glasses were. I would tell you where you left your glasses, where you left your keys. It's just one of the umpteen zillion devices now that talk to us. And guess what? All those devices, all those things have a human being. Yes, it is a computer voice, but a human like me and maybe like you had to record those voices. I mean, how cool, how much fun would that be to be one of those things, right? So there are all kinds of apps out there. Some things, more and more things are talking to you. There's internet, TV, and radio. If you've been online, especially on YouTube, you see all the commercials that are there, right? Before it's annoying, right? Before you can see the video you want to watch. But hey, if you're the voice in one of those commercials, you're not annoyed at all. But there's so many that we can't even count. I can't even give you the numbers. I can give you the numbers of how many radio stations there are in the United States. Terrestrial radio, they call it. There's about 10,000 terrestrial radio stations. And some of them are nonprofit and don't run commercials, but of the ones that do, they're running about maybe 20 minutes of commercials an hour, hours a day. I mean, you can barely do the math there. That's hundreds, tens if not hundreds of millions of commercials being broadcast every year just on terrestrial radio. Add to that satellite radio, add to that internet radio, add to that television, add to that cable, add to that internet TV. There is no lack of opportunity just in the commercial niche. That's one of 14 niche markets. E-learning is also a huge niche right now. So companies used to train their employees with a live trainer. They would send on the road and they put that person on the road and they travel all around. Very, very expensive. Well, they've stopped all of that. Now training is done by you and me. We're sent scripts. We record them. Companies have what they call learning management systems. It's the e-learning niche, learning management. You'll have a company will have its own online library, and they hire professional narrators to voice that content. Very interesting. So if you have any kind of good teacher, if your voice is easy to listen to, you can become an e-learning narrator, an e-learning instructor. Then there's the telephony niche, the one that I know a lot about, right, as a voice of Citibank and all of the work we do here at the Great Voice Company. Like I said, we specialize in voices for phone systems in all languages. So another huge niche. And the great thing about that niche is that once your voice becomes embedded in a phone system, a big phone system, I'm not talking about voicemail, but the bank, for example, has thousands and thousands of messages I record for Citibank now almost daily. And sometimes I'm doing applications that have thousands, if not tens of thousands of voices embedded in them. So it's a lot of repeat business in that particular industry. We don't get residuals, but we get a lot of repeat business. So let me pause for a second. I got a couple more of your questions that just came in, and I want to answer them for you right now. The first one is a shout out from Ernie Hodge. Hey, Ernie. Ernie says, I'm currently in radio. How do I transition from using my voice to becoming a successful talent? Boy, Ernie, great question, and one that is right up my alley, because I was on the air for 15 years, and I even made it to the top of the top. I was on the Howard Stern show. But even when I was on in radio, I'm going to share a piece of something personal right now. Can I do that? Good. Okay. The top, do you know how much money I was making? I was making $24,000 a year when I was on the Howard Stern show. Shocking, right? So of course I wanted to get into voiceover. And Ernie, I don't know how much you're making, but I do know that the average pay in radio is really quite low. They really know what a glamorous job it is, and I think they take advantage of a lot of the people on the air. But anyway, so many radio people want to expand into professional voiceover. So here's the challenge there. When you're on radio, you're doing production, you're recording commercials as part of your job. It's called a production shift, right, Ernie? But there's additional work outside of the work you do for the radio station, which is paid work. And to make that transition, because I made that transition, I had to learn to get the announcer sound out of my voice. Remember in the beginning of this talk, I said that voiceover is much more acting than it is about announcing. So step one for you, Ernie, is you really need to find a coach that can help you get rid of any trace of announceritis in your voice, become a lot more conversational, and create a demo that is not at all radio, that is much more actor-based. And once you have that training and that demo, then you start your marketing program, just like anybody else. But we're experts at helping you with that. If you need help, call us. You have our number right here on the screen. It's 800-333-8108. Now, Danica is watching in Sydney, Australia. Danica, good day. What a horrible Australian accent I have. Good day. Whatever it is. But anyway, she's in New South Wales, and she just called in with a question. She says, I was wondering what the best way to start doing voiceover is. I've talked to many animation voice actors in America who told me it's good to take some improv classes, which I'll actually be doing in July. I haven't really been told that my voice is unique. But my favorite voice actor actually said I have an unusual accent. Of course, I took it as a compliment because people do actually comment on my accent. So my questions are, will taking an improv class help me, and what should be my next step? Okay, Danica, here's the deal. Improv is wonderful. It really is great. But that alone is not going to help you with voiceover, because it's more of a generalized acting skill, and you'll use it in voiceover, but you need specific help with not just your performance, with learning how to interpret scripts that come in, not just commercial scripts, but corporate scripts. And you need marketing help, and you need home studio help, and you need mindset help, which is the kind of help that we give in our Voiceover Training Institute programs. And we have your number, so I'm going to ask Mark or Zach to follow up with you and see if maybe we can help you. But absolutely, I think improv is great, but it's not enough. That's my short answer there. Then we have Deanna in California, or Dina, who used to be a stunt woman in movies. That is awesome, Dina. Boy, not me. I can't do any of that stuff, so that's really, really cool. So this is a great question. What do you do if you can't stand your own voice? Other people comment on her voice. It looks like fun, but she has that concern. Okay, Dina, I have a confession to make. I couldn't stand my own voice either, because here's what happened. So I used to, in radio, what they would do is you'd get off the air and you'd sit with your program director, and they would play a recording of your voice over these giant speakers, right? And he would go through and he'd listen to your show and he'd pick it apart. And I would listen to myself and I would think, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm getting paid for doing this, because that sounds terrible. And it actually took me 5 years of getting paid for speaking before I realized my voice was probably okay. So, Dina, it comes back to that thing that I was talking about, which is we listen to ourselves from inside our head. where our voice is actually distorted by the bones of our skull. So there's a disparity between the way we sound to ourselves and the way we sound to other people. That little shock. So you know what? It doesn't matter if you don't like the way you sound. What matters is the person who writes you the check. So as part of the coaching process, you learn to get used to working with your own voice as if you were listening to somebody else. But the answer is nothing. You do nothing. You just listen and pay attention to the people who are directing you and hiring you for voiceover work. So Pete from Abilene, Texas says, hey, thanks for all the help. I've gotten jobs after working with you. Awesome, Pete. That's wonderful. I want to know more about that. Where do I buy Great Voice coffee mugs? They're not for sale, but I tell you what, maybe we can work something out. Thank you very much, Pete. That is awesome. I appreciate that. Congratulations on getting work. I want to know more about that. Yolanda Carnes of Aurora, Illinois. What would be the best way to pursue the e-learning niche? Okay, good, Yolanda. Hang on. Well, here's the deal. You can't, I don't know you because you didn't say what your background is or if you've had training. You can't, it's like, you know, when you go to school, you don't go from second grade to your junior year in high school. You have to go step by step by step through a process that gets you ready. So you didn't say, Yolanda, whether or not you've had any training, but there's certain foundational skills that you need to learn. And those foundational skills are around interpreting a script, any script, and I don't care if it's e-learning or any of the niche scripts. In other words, who are you? Who are you talking to? Where are you when you're having that conversation? What's the backstory? What happened before the script began? And there's a whole process, a whole method that we teach our students in copy interpretation for no matter what the script. So you get that down. Then you have to get your foundational skills together for recording from home and foundational marketing skills. So whether your niche is e-learning or whether it's video games or telephony, it doesn't really matter. You have to find out where those customers live, come up with a whole marketing plan to reach them, implement the marketing plan. You see, it's a bit involved. So I can't really give you a simple answer. What I can tell you about e-learning is that your customer is called an instructional designer. And if you Google them, there are a lot of them online. But if you're not prepared, it'd be better to make sure that you've got your training together, you understand about really how to create good quality recording from home and all of the other things that you need to know to be a successful voice talent. Okay, so that was Yolanda. We're good. So if you've got a question, it's 800-333-8108. Mark or Zach will take that question and pass it in to me. Let's talk about the audiobooks niche because that's a popular one. That's one a lot of people are very, very interested in. And so I want to talk a little bit about it. It is another one of the top booming niches right now. Audible was just bought by Amazon. So Audible is the website where there's acx.com where narrators can meet up with independent publishers and do their books. And I know a lot of our students have gotten work that way. So audiobooks there's an explosion of digital devices, and it's really a great market, very open to newcomers if you know what you're doing, if you really understand the genre. So here's the deal with audiobooks. It's a lot of work. Now, I don't shy away from work. I'm a hard worker, but it takes about 5 hours to record and edit 1 hour of finished audio. And the average book has maybe 5 to 8 or more hours of finished audio. It's a lot of work. And it's, you're fairly paid, but you're not making a lot of money. It's really for a person who has the time and the desire to do that type of work. They give you a pretty good, fair turnaround, I would say, if you're narrating, for example, a business ebook that's maybe 200 pages, you might have a a month to get that recorded and edited and back to the customer. But you're going to be working on that quite a lot of hours every week. So you just need to understand that about audiobooks. However, you can really fly when you do that work because of the characters that you develop and you're working with. Jim Dale did all the Harry Potter books. He had 150 characters. Can you believe that? He developed those character voices and he recorded them all. And as he was doing the book, he would listen to all of those voices. So here's a tip if audiobooks is your niche. Obviously, you want to go on over to ACX, the Audiobook Creation Exchange. Read all their guidelines, learn about it. There'll be a lot of tutorials there about how to become a narrator. And you also want to be reading AudioFile magazine. That's AUDIOFILE, and listening to lots and lots of audiobooks. So you get a sense of the best narrators out there. Now let's talk about video games. Big niche, big niche. And I would say that there's a lot of opportunity for all types of voices in video games. Some of those games have hundreds of voices in them. Can you imagine? I think I heard recently that one video game had like 110 different voice talents in there. You're working with game developers. The demos are completely different than any other kind of demo. You're showing your facility with characters, your ability to do all of that. Very, very busy, popular niche these days because of the tremendous growth of that market. Okay, more questions coming in. Robin wants to know, when is the next boot camp? Hey, Robin, we'd love to see you there. June 13th through 15th in New York City at Avatar Studios, and spacing is limited. We're getting almost filled up. So if you're interested, please talk to Mark or Zach and they can get you there. We would love to see you. Let me talk a little bit about our boot camp. I mean, we've been doing these for years and they have quite a great reputation because they're really, really good. We've spent 2 days at Avatar Studios, myself and producer Adriana Davis, and then the third day, I'm actually helping you. We're helping you with our audio producers, helping you with your home studio, and I'm helping you with your marketing as well. And that boot camp is June 13th through 15th in New York City. So to see about that, you just talk to Mark or Zach and they can help you with that. Moses, who's one of our graduates, wants a little bit of help with marketing and wants to know about the basic steps in a marketing plan. And I'll tell you, to keep it real simple, Moses. Number one is the who. It's called what we call message to market match. So say you were going after the audiobook market. The way you would approach that voice buyer is completely different than the way you would approach a video game buyer. So a video game voice buyer is a game developer. They're probably younger. They are enmeshed in, they're technology heavy. So they're going to be a lot more receptive to a marketing that has a certain flavor, a certain look to it. Whereas the audiobook voice buyer are, those people are publishers, independent publishers. They're more thoughtful, perhaps a little more mature. So you really, the first step one, I think, rather than lay out an entire marketing plan, Moses, is really start with some thought about who you're talking to, a message to market match, and build your entire marketing campaign around the particular market. Great questions, you guys. It's 800-333-8108, and keep them coming. Doris wants to know if we have training that can help you get jobs, and here's what we do. Doris, this is not like vocational education. I wish it was. I wish there were some guarantee in voiceover. What you need to understand is that this is like acting. It's a freelance opportunity. What we do in our training institute is we introduce you to voice buyers. So every month, you, just for the people that are in the program, to top talent agents, top producers, buyers that are out there. I'm not talking like big name agents in New York, Los Angeles, producers that work with the government. And we just had a lady that did a big piece on the Sea, Air, Space Museum. And we introduce you to those people in our training programs, and we prepare you to audition for them in a way that where you're not going to make a fool of yourself. So remember what I said a few minutes ago. I said you can't go from kindergarten to being a sophomore in high school. You have to take the steps in between to get you ready. And when you're ready in our program, we do introduce you to voice buyers, and we prepare you. We give you the tools you need. Unfortunately, I can't guarantee that it's going to result in work, but as some of the people who've written in have said, our stuff does work and they get jobs, but because they do the work. So Doris, I hope that helps you. And if you want to know specifics about the program, Mark and Zach are standing by that can give you all that detail when you call in. Okay, here's another question. From Trinidad in the Caribbean, my question is, would accents cause some limitation to voiceover acting? Okay, great question, Ellie. Here's the deal. When a producer wants a talent with an accent, they're probably, but not definitely, going to hire a person with neutral speech who can put that accent on. And the reason is, that way they have the flexibility to give more or less of that accent. So for example, let's say they were doing a spot, they wanted the talent to have an Italian accent. So I get on the behind the mic and I start speaking with an Italian accent. They say, okay, that sounds great. Now give me less. Now give me more. Now make it sound like you're from Southern Italy, not from Northern Italy. Now, a really great voice actor could do that. Whereas some people have an accent that's authentic. They're from that country. They have that one sound that they do. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing because some people want authentic accents. So the answer, Ellie, is it depends. So you're from the Caribbean, and that is a beloved accent. It's lovely, and it's authentic. So you want to let voice buyers know that you are authentic Caribbean accented English. And I think it could work out really well for you. So Ron wants to know, how can I be evaluated for voiceover so I don't know? So I know I can do it, but I don't want to waste time or money. So here's the thing, Ron. It's such a great question. You just asked a question that I know is on everybody's mind. And I applaud you for being bold there, because here's the deal. Obviously, nobody wants to invest their money, but more importantly, their time, which is a really precious resource, into something that they go through it all, and then at the end, they can't do it. Here's the answer. There's no magic wand where I can say, Ron, you can do this. Your success in this or in any endeavor, and I don't care, I mean, I could be up here talking about your future as a realtor, depends on your efforts. So as I said earlier, the opportunities in voiceover today, let me tell you what would stop you from doing this, okay? That's where I think we should go. It's not like what you can do, but here are red flags that you cannot do this. Let's talk about this. If you have a reading disability that's strong, that you can't read a script. Now, we have had visually impaired people become extremely successful in voiceover because they adjusted for their disability. They either brailled or they had, used large print. So even that, we've had people with a hearing loss take our programs because they adjusted for the disability. But if you are one of those people that fights with other people, that can't get along with people, that doesn't show up, that is aggressive, that is frankly a jerk, nothing's gonna help you, dude. If that's you, I'm sure it's not. But if that's you, you can't do this. If you are a flake, you can't do this. If you are extremely disorganized, I mean, pathologically disorganized, you can't do this because you won't be able to, like, pathologically, we're all a little disorganized. That's not what I mean. If you can't take direction, you can't do this. If you don't have enough desire in your heart, you can't do this because it won't see you through. If you just feel maybe it's something I want to do. Well, please don't bother. Don't waste your time, because you won't stick it out, because it's not an overnight thing where you're going to show up and somebody's going to discover you and voila, your career will be made. No, that doesn't happen. It takes some effort, some planning, and some consistent work on skills to develop yourself. So if you're looking for overnight success, you are wasting your time. I hope that's helpful. But as I've said over and over again, voice quality now, it's wide open to all types of voices. So I hope that's helpful. Okay, in Austin, Texas, is your voice type tied to the niche you pursue, or can you have a multifaceted voice? That's a great question. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Austin, for that great question. Let's talk about that. So when you are selecting your niche, you want to make it easy for yourself. Pick a niche that loves your type of voice. Let's make it easy. I'll give you a perfect example. I have a colleague named Pat Fraley, who you may have heard of. He's a voiceover teacher and an actor in many, many voice productions, audiobooks, and especially cartoons. So he's extremely animated and extremely gifted with voices. Guess what he does? Cartoons, animation, video games, things where his natural enthusiasm and his voice ability gives him the upper hand. If you have a quirky voice, and a lot of people do have very unusual, quirky sounding voices, probably you're not going to be doing e-learning for corporations because your natural voice is just too quirky and people will be laughing and they won't pay attention. But for commercials, yeah. For audio books, perhaps. For video games, yeah. For animation, yeah. So one of the things that we do when we work with people is we try to find out what your natural talents and abilities are, and cast you in the right niche where things will be easy for you. We're trying to make this as easy as possible for you. It's kind of like, and I don't know, because you're a guy, I think you can say if this is a man or a woman, but as a woman, when we go to the makeup counter, we go to a hairdresser, we want the hairdresser to look at the shape of our face and give us a haircut that's going to complement our natural look and make us look younger, prettier, or better. And it's the same thing with voice, believe it or not. One of our functions as your coach and your mentor is to help you pick the niche that will work with your natural voice type to enhance the gifts and the skills you already bring to the table. I hope that makes sense. Number is 800-333-8108. It's right here on the page. Looking forward to your question. I love doing this because I'm working without a net. These questions are just coming in and I'm answering them. And we talked about this one. All right, sip of water from this limited edition cup. Today's voiceover is a global market. I love that about this work. We have customers overseas, and I actually know people, some of our students have actually outsourced their voice to India. We're complaining in America about, India stealing our jobs. Well, in voiceover, we're actually outsourcing our voices to them because there's a lot of e-learning production going on in India where it could be done inexpensively. But what they don't have there is voice talent who sounds like Americans. So they have to hire people from the United States. Isn't that interesting? So yeah, it is a kind of work where you can work. I know another talent who regularly, actually they fly him to Europe to work. So pretty cool. So another thing that's going on now, a big sea change, is that the price of the equipment has come way, way, way down. So when I started out and some years back, it was hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to set up a home studio. You know how much it costs these days? I think for a few $100, let's say 500 for easy math, you can have a really good sounding microphone and maybe a preamp and a good set of headphones and really start recording from home. Now, you're going to need to be able to isolate your recording area. You don't necessarily need an expensive voice booth or to build anything to record. You could probably do this in a closet. A lot of people do, and for many years I recorded in a closet in New York City. Now I have a whisper room. I have a freestanding voice booth that I lease. You don't need that. You probably can get a good enough sound in your closet, or by using, setting up a space and having moving blankets or sound baffles around you. A lot of ways that you can do this inexpensively to get started and get a really, really good sound working from home. So the price of really good microphones, a few $100. You know, the top of the line is maybe $3,000 for a Neumann, but you don't need that, and you probably don't want it because it's they're so sensitive, those really, that you really need good soundproofing. So you can get a really good sounding mic for $200, $300, and a really great sounding mic for about $1,000. And then your audio software, free downloads. You can work with Audacity. I love Twisted Wave for the Mac and for the iPad. I think it's $40 for the Mac and maybe $20 for the iPad for an app. For the PC, we use SoundForge here at Great Voice. A lot of people love Audacity. It does not matter. The software is just going to edit your audio files. It doesn't necessarily make your voice better. So the price of the equipment has come down, and everything we're doing these days is digital. Rarely does anyone even actually want a CD of your demo. They want you to send the digital copy, or they want the link to your website where your demo is hanging, and it's all instantaneous. And you can, again, work with anybody anywhere in the world. That's cool. That's really news. Here's another question that people ask all the time, which is, how quickly can I make money? Well, there's no guarantees. And I said, you know, you really do need to give yourself time and space to ascend from the kindergarten level on up to graduating from high school and even, you know, from Voiceover college. But I'll give you some specifics. I mean, Marion Flommer told me she felt so confident after our training, she landed a job within 2 days of completing it. And again, these are not necessarily typical, but these are actual, they're just some results from some of our students. Michelle Chappelle looks like Oprah. And she's a math teacher who's building her fortune and ensuring her comfortable retirement in the e-learning niche. She started a whole business called The Professor's Voice. And she's acting not only off camera, but to her surprise, they want her for on camera too. So she's doing extremely well. Buffy O'Neill, a former singer, now a voice talent we use all the time, spending too much time away from her two small kids. Now she's working from home. She has over 300 customers, voiceover clients. She has a nanny who watches her kids every day and does voiceovers in her spare bedroom. Mike Duty just wrote to say he's done 5 jobs since January. He's a student of ours. BP Smith, a former architect who I've helped with his marketing. He says he's a success in voiceover thanks to me. Thank you, BP. He sends out a demo and a few simple emails to prospects and says he's been working steadily ever since and wishes he's gotten started years ago. Again, these results are not typical, and it's not going to happen for you overnight. So I just really want to manage your expectations. Another question we get all the time is, do you need acting or radio experience to do this? And the answer is no. It's helpful, but it's not needed. Our students come from all walks of life. I'm thinking of Kevin Hummert, who is a truck driver, Annie Gordon, who is in the marketing field, Barbara Bollinger, who's a cardiac care nurse. So I'm not asking you to quit your day job unless, of course, you want to, but it's just absolutely not necessary. This is something you do part-time. Even me, I'm working at this full-time, but if I spend, you know, an hour in the recording studio every day, it's a lot. And, you know, if you can't sleep, you can go online. You can browse the voice casting sites, send out a few auditions, spend an hour or two having fun every day, recording and keeping in touch with your clients and your prospects by email or phone. And I told you earlier, audiobooks, you know, it's a leisurely month or two to complete them, and you record in your spare time. It's definitely a part-time opportunity. All right, let's talk about your blueprint for voiceover success. And 800-333-8108 is where you send you call, get your questions by phone. Mark or Zach will take them and they'll hand them to me and I'll answer right here. So what happens, the way that this works is you get your training, you select your niche, you do your demo, you set up a simple home studio, you start auditioning either on the voice talent casting sites or through agents. You market directly to prospects. This is very important. Don't just depend on auditions. You do that through the internet, by mail, or by phone. You get a booking. You create a sound file in your home studio. You send it through the internet to your client. Your client pays you by PayPal or little Square credit card, whatever you do, or sends you a check, and you make money. That's how it works in this business. And the way you really make money in voiceover is that clients come back to you again and again and again. We call that repeat business. So would you like to know some rates that people have made for recent voiceover jobs? Again, these are not typical or guaranteed. Your results may differ, but they are from my personal experience and the experience of friends and students in the business. So a 20-page non-broadcast corporate narration, non-union, paid $750. A local 60-second radio commercial in a small market paid $75. A 3-page non-broadcast training narration, $300. The voice of Christmas decorations for a rich guy in Florida paid $300. An audiobook of 6 to 8 finished hours paid $150 an hour for 6 to 8 hours per book. 200 telephone voice prompts, $150. A 1-hour e-learning narration finished audio, $1,200. A huge e-learning project that took a year to record from home. Are you ready? $90,000. This is 1 year of work. A 4-page medical narration, $525. A video game residual check paid to a union voice talent. Now, a lot of video games don't pay residuals, but this one did, and he made $100,000 from this. It's a very big video game. An 80-page business ebook for a financial advisor, $4,000. And a large text-to-speech application for IBM, took several months to record, was $10,000. Again, not typical, but these were actual rates paid for real jobs, either people I know or, you know, through our studios. Got a question? We want to hear it. 800-333-8108. Talk to Mark or Zach. So here's a formula. And then I'm going to talk about those 4 pillars of voiceover success. So step 1 is, you know, you pick a niche that showcases your strengths, and don't think in terms of the big one, you know, booking the big job. Think in terms of customers that will give you repeat business. You want to cultivate customers with lifetime value. And, you know, this hit home for me with one of my customers. I did a job many years ago for a very large corporation, Fortune 100 company. That job paid $350. Pretty modest, right? But they came back again and again and again for over about 15 years. And so one day I thought, I wonder how much that customer is worth. And I went into my software, my accounting software, and I looked them up. And I was like, oh my goodness, that one customer, $1,200,000 over 15 years. I had no clue. I mean, I would have bought them a car, right? And you know, it just really adds up. If you could keep those customers and have them book you again and again and again, that is where you make the real money in voiceover. So Again, as I've been saying, please don't think of this as overnight success. Think of it as a way to do a job, get a customer, keep a customer, do great work, and keep them for years. And that's where you really make your money in this business. Okay? Now, let's talk about the 4 pillars of voiceover success. Take another sip of water. You want to make a note? Write this down. They are performance, recording skills, marketing, and mindset. Performance, recording skills, marketing, and mindset. So when we talk about performance, we mean that it is acting-based rather than voice-based. As I've been saying throughout this training, it really matters not about the raw quality of your voice. What matters is your ability to take somebody's words and make them sound believable and convincing. And, you know, in my method that I teach, it starts with really understanding your relationship with the unseen other person and determining who you are and who you're talking to, where you are when you're having this conversation, and what happened before the script began. This is all imaginary work that you're doing. This is the voice acting piece of your performance skills. This is the age of self-direction. So a big challenge and a big problem that the voice actor has today is you're alone in your home studio. You get a script and nobody is giving you other than the most minimal direction on how to record it. This is a challenge. This is where we can really, really help you as your coach. And when we work with you in our training institute, we make sure you have a lot of practice and a lot of coaching on this so you're ready to start auditioning when we introduce you to those voice buyers. And there really are skills for doing this because, you know, if it can be very lonely when you're there and you record and you don't know if it's good or not. You get what we call take-itis, where next thing you know, you've done 20, 30, 50 takes and you can't tell the difference, which is the best one to send. So that's a skill you need to learn in the performance part of the 4 pillars. You need recording skills. I mean, obviously you need to know which is the best microphone for your voice, which one to buy, best one for your budget, any software you need, how to use it, how to take the breaths out, space. So there's a difference between soundproof and sound treated. A soundproof space is obviously one where no outside noise comes in. That's tough to achieve at home. You can get it good enough probably if you record in a closet or in a quiet room or in your basement. But most people are going to wind up treating their space either by using sound blankets or moving blankets or foam so that the microphone doesn't sound echoey. You need to know how to edit, and that's very important. It's not difficult. It might seem a little scary, but it's not difficult. Take the breaths out of your recording. And you need help with the marketing because, as I said, the who is more important than the what. The what, of course, is your voice, and that almost matters not. The client is much more important than us and our product. The lifetime value, which we talked about, it's where money is made in the business. Niche customers because they're easy to find. Multi-step marketing campaigns that uses all of the media, you know, email and direct mail, you know, things you put in the mail, the phone, etc. Organized and consistent follow-up and marketing that takes into account online and offline and social media and all of the things at our disposal. And then, of course, the mindset piece, which for me is the #1 issue. Because you can have all these other things in place, but if you are unconsciously sabotaging your career, it's not going to work. So I can help you with that. I've trained myself. I've studied with Dr. Kepi from Brazil now for about 30 years to really understand what stops us and what keeps us going. So this mindset piece is huge. How to get over procrastination, how to get unstuck, what you do if you can't implement or follow through, how to deal with self-doubt. That's about your challenge. Nerves. See if that works. Can you hear me now? Did that fix it? Mark, come in if you can hear me. This is live, right? Come on in, let me know. Did that work?
Maybe write a sign. Say 2 minutes. Yeah.
See that 2-minute break. While we fix the mic. I'll turn it off and go back on.
Yeah.
See if that works. And you go.